Hey everyone, Serge here, and I'm going to help those who are trying to learn the game and getting onto it if this was like your first time or returning players or whatnot. I want to actually take this time to actually go over some basics to help you get started. So I'm going to go break down some of the key components of this game that would hopefully spread some light. So the first thing I want to do is the general typing when it comes to the text chat right on the left side where you see over there. Um, in order to change your text chat, you have to write the commands as so. A lot of it's going to be follow as like slash. Um, so let's say if I want to chat to the guild, you will see guild one. Or if I want to talk to the party, you can do slash p. If I want to whisper somebody, it would be slash r, and so forth and so forth. So when it comes to the chat, you can actually click over here and there's a little plus sign that you can actually filter your chats and everything like that. So you can just say, let's say I'm just going to call it aura, and you can just have your filter to only what you want to see on that particular tab. So you can click off the zone if you don't want to see anything general, or if people are doing a lot of emotes, which are purple chats, you can do that off. Tells, says, yells, group. But for now, we only want to focus on the main ones you'll probably be using. So to chat in the general chat, it's going to be slash zone. Zone is your general chat. Your guild, depending on which guild you're in. So if let's say it's Aura, which is going to be mostly probably everyone's first guild, it's going to be Guild 1. Hit enter, and it's going to show the name of the guild. That's just it. But if you do like Guild 2, it will be like a generic Guild 2, Guild 3, so forth and so forth. But if you have Guild 1 and it's set to a certain guild, it's going to actually show the guild name, and then you'll just typing message hi, and it will show your actual @ name. What does the @ name mean when you said by that? Your @ name is your actual user ID that you've used to log into ESO. In this game, it actually shows or what you call a some people refer to this as your like legacy name, but it's just really your name that shows when it comes to like the guild and everything like that. So you'll see here where it says like Akita Vado has logged on Zavora Hologram. Zavora Hologram is the actual character that she's made, but the @Akita Vado is her actual account. When it comes to guild chats, you will always see the @name. So it'll always be the actual account that shows up. Friends list. This function can be easily accessible by pressing the O button, and there you can see the list of all your friends and everything like that. If you right click on your friends, you can actually visit their stronghold if they want to. You can invite them to a group. You can whisper them. So if I hit whisper, it will show as a light blue text down here, and it will say tell to @Akita Vado, and I would just type a message, hi. So, and then that's your whispers. And then to respond to whispers, all you have to do, so let's say if I'm in a guild chat, and if I wanted to respond to the whisper, all I need to do is type /R. And that's going to go right back to Akita Vado. And then response, yada yada yada. The cool part about this game is you can actually spawn right where they are by the travel to player command, and this will take you to wherever they are at the moment. Keep in mind there are some instances where you will not be able to do that function. And then you have also other functions like sending mail, editing the note, removing them as friends, or just completely ignoring them. Guild is more or less the same thing when you open the guild tab. So pressing G will open up the guild menu. And here on the first page, you can see all the message of the day and then what the guild's about and everything like that. And then up here on the top right, you can actually click on the other stuff in the guild tab. So with roster, you can see who's online, and we'll have the list of people just like the friends list. And then going through the rank, and then history, yada yada yada. Um, so that's it with the guild tab and everything like that. Alright, let's talk about the actual game interface and structures and how everything's set up. So as you know, with this game, you have um, your mouse button is going to control your movements and your attacks and blocks. So right click, if by default, is your block. And how you know your blocking is, you'll see the shield around you. That's how you know you're going to block. That's going to mitigate any damage incoming to you. You're going to have your light attacks, which is just the click of the mouse on the left mouse. And then if you hold it, this will allow you to do a heavy attack. As you see, it's just a longer channel to do a heavier attack. Light attack, heavy attack. There are other functions such as your abilities. So here we'll have our abilities, and we'll see like it goes through 1 to 5, and then the R button. Now this R button is your ultimate, and each of these class things has up here has an ultimate ability, which in time, once you unlock it, once you get to level 12 on that particular class skill, it will unlock that you can use skill points. What are skill points? So let's talk about skill points. Skill points is what you're going to need in order to unlock these weapons. So right here we have 1 skill point right now. So if I wanted to do molten weapons, I could just hit this plus button and then you unlock, and that will spend a skill point to unlock that ability, and it will be available for us to use. So let's say we didn't have any of this. So how do I get my moves here in the first place? So if you have your ability that's unlocked, all you got to do is simply click on this ability and just drag it onto the slot. And now it's on your quick bar. And then you just scroll and find another ability, drag down, and then you'll have that ability. You'll have class abilities, and then you'll have weapon specific abilities, like for instance a two-handed and or the destruction staff. And you can mix and match what you want to use for these abilities and stuff. You'll also have certain passives when it comes to racial passives, which will be shown in the Breton skills. More will come as you level up your character, and more will be available to you, including armor, which is another set of a whole these passes and everything that you can use. Now keep in mind, just like abilities that you see here, getting passives also requires skill points. And throughout your gaming time here in ESO, you will gain more skill points so that you can get more of these passes. And if you highlight it, all these things, it would actually tell you what each of these passives does, and including also the moves here. So if I highlight, let's say, Flame Lash, it would tell exactly what that move does and everything, and see what it will fit to you. Now, a new feature with ESO is they have this thing called the Skill Advisor. Now what that is it just kind of recommends you on what skills to get if you're planning to use a particular role with your particular class. Keep in mind, every class can fulfill any role. So let's say for a Dragonites can be healers, tanks, or DPS. Sorks, same thing. Nightblade, same thing. So here, what they added is, if this is more for beginner players, you don't have to follow what it says, but it just gives you a kind of a recommendation, so it helps you kind of know where to kind of go on terms of moves, what will be recommended for what you're wanting to do for that class. So for instance, let's say I'm doing the Infernal Dragon right now, which is a primary stat, which it says it's stat to Magicka, and it will tell me what armor, which is going to be light armor. And it kind of gives you a quick description of that. And so if you click that, and once you level up and stuff, this will kind of help you towards like recommended abilities, and it will show like these little crosshairs that would kind of show you, okay, that's kind of a recommended skill and whatnot. So if I, let's say if I set it to here now, it would kind of show different moves that it will recommend. So you see how it's different now. So stone, this is, I think this is the tank. Yep. So it would show like it would recommend this. So just look out for the crosshairs on the moves, and that's a recommended set. All right. Next, let's talk about how to get skill points. There are numerous ways to get skill points, but we'll go over the basic ones that are easy to acquire. The first way to acquire a skill point is leveling. Anytime you level up, you gain a skill point. At level 5, you will gain, I believe, 2. And then at level 10, you gain. So I think every 5 levels, you gain an additional skill point up until you get to level 50. Another way of getting skill points is sky shards. Now, sky shards are these blue crystals that are all across the lands of ESO. So right here in front of me, you'll see this big glaring light. That's where a sky shard's located. So you can actually walk up to it, and then you'll interact it by pressing E, and it's just a collectible, and you just can find these all across Tamriel. So, see, I got gained 1 skill point. It takes 3 of the sky shards to get a skill point. And of course, the skill points are what contributes to getting these moves and everything. Other ways to get skill points, other than leveling in the sky shards, are also doing quest lines. Main story quests will also give you skill points. Dungeons, doing first runs of the dungeons will give you skill points. And PvP and acquiring a rank will also give you skill points. So there are numerous ways you can get skill points that you will have enough to actually fulfill anything that you want to do in the game. Like doing all your classes, all the moves, unlocks, everything like that. You'll be able to do that. Now, let's talk about crafting a little bit. Now, crafting can be a little overwhelming at first because it's like, what do I do? How do I craft something? So the fundamentals of crafting is you have blacksmithing, woodworking, clothing, and jewelry making. You also have enchanting and alchemy, which we'll explain those two a bit. But the main 3 ones we want to focus on are the ones that you can do as armors. So clothing, when we open up for the very first time, you'll notice that you will see skill gained. So right now what just happened is we just unlocked a crafting tree. So if you were to actually work on clothing, you can do this by just interacting with a clothing station, and it will unlock the skill tree. And you'll start at level 1 just like if you were doing a new weapon or starting a new, character whatsoever. So how do you level up clothing? Just like any other crafting skill, all you need to do is literally just make stuff or deconstruct stuff. So creating stuff is as simple as when you go pull up the menu right here, you'll see the tabs up top, and you'll see refine, creation, deconstruct, improvement, research, and patterns. Now patterns we won't talk about much right now because that's going to be probably for another time, but we'll focus on these 5 at the moment. So what is refining? Refining are basically taking all the raw materials that you can find throughout all Tamriel or certain circumstances, and then combining it to make a actual material. So let's just say for like raw jute. If we collect, this is your basic level 1 through 14 first beginners material. Collecting these throughout the terminal, so you'll see like resource nodes throughout all the place, and when you collect it, you'll be put into your inventory. Now, if you have enough, you can actually refine it into actual jute, and then there you actually take the jute to make whatever clothing that you need. So, for instance, let's say we had 10, so we'll refine it, and then we'll refine it, and it will make us a jute, and then from the creation, that's where we'll take the jute as so right here. So right now we have this many jute. So if I wanted to make an armoring, let's say we wanted to make this robe. So it's going to require, it will tell you how much jute you need at this particular level. So at level 1, it requires 7 jute. Now let's say if I wanted to be, level 10, it will require more jute over time. And jute, it would tell you what levels covered this particular material. So jute will cover levels 1 through 14. And the higher the level, the bracket, the more jute you're going to need. Down here, style is going to actually change the look of your robe, but because we only know the Breton style at the moment, we cannot show you it. And here is the actual clothing that you can go through to actually build whatever that you want. So let's say we're going to make this, and we're just going to craft. Now we made ourselves some robes. You notice that we gain XP by just crafting. That's how we're going to level up any type of crafting skill. The next tab we want to talk about is deconstruct. Now deconstruct is taking any type of armoring or whatever, and you're just breaking it down to its basic components. So let's say the very robes that we just created, we'll take it, and we're going to look at deconstruct it now. When we deconstruct it, not only that we gain some level, but we also get the materials that were used in order to make it. So like the jute and the Breton stone, which is right here, the molybdenum, and then you'll just do the same thing when you deconstruct anything. So and then it will show you how much of the material that you get from deconstructing it. Self-explanatory. Next is improvement. This is going to go based on the quality of the grades of your weapons or armorings. Now, this little thing right here will show you kind of like from normal, which is your white, all the way to yellow, which is the highest grade, and in between. So yellow is your highest legendary armor, and then white is your lowest grade. After white will go to green, green will go to blue, the blue will go to purple. And the higher the grade, the better your armor is. And that's really all to that. So let's say we wanted to actually upgrade our breeches. So all you have to do is just click on the things, and then the next step from white would be next to green. So green will have these, whatchamacallit, this tannin, and you will need a specific amount to create this and to give you green. So here, everything's by chance. So the more tannin you put in, the higher the chances. So if I only wanted to put 1, that would be a lower chance. So that's more or less, it's kind of a chance. If you don't happen to get the chance, so let's say if with Slay we only did 1 and we used it and it ended up not being successful, not only we lose that tannin, but we'll also lose the leggings that we try to upgrade. So be careful when not doing 100%. I recommend always doing 100%. Alright, next is about research. Now researching is learning traits on your armorings. What are traits though, before we talk about that? So traits, when you look in your armoring, so we'll highlight the actual armor itself, and you'll notice that you'll have the name of the armoring, how much armor it has, what level it is. The health bar that's right below it is the durability. The lower the durability, the once the durability is completely 0, it's going to break, and that armor is no longer going to provide you any of the enhancements that will provide or any of the armoring. So be aware if your armor is 0. Right below it is going to be an enhancement. This enhancement is basically an augmentation to give you extra stats on your armor pieces. So in this case, this has a stamina enhancement, which is going to provide you with 217 more stamina. Below that, next to the magnifying glass, is the actual trait of the armor piece. In this case, it's sturdy. which gives you an actual description what it does. So it's going to reduce the cost of block by 2.5%. With that said, now we'll go back to our crafting station and go back to research. Now here is a list of all the traits that can be on any particular armor. So in order to learn the trait, what you have to just do is find an actual armoring with that particular trait and then go and then just learn it. So here we have these homespun gloves that we can use, that we can learn the training trait with. And then below it will take some time to actually learn the trait. And once that time has lapsed, now you'll be able to create a glove at this level with this style, and then below, once that's over, the training trait. And this is going to apply to every crafting station. So between blacksmithing and woodworking, it's the exact same concept. Alright, so this is part 1 of the beginners. I will have a part 2 here shortly.